Hello everyone, welcome back again to my YouTube channel. In today's video I'm going to be showing you guys how to go about the making of this beautiful pencil dress with a cowl neck effect in front. So if this is something you're interested in, keep on watching and let us get started. Alright guys, to make this dress, this is the fabric I'm going to be using, and you can see what it looks like. It has this line effects, as you can see, and this fabric stretches so much. You can see how much stretch it has, and this stretch is on both sides of the fabric, so it stretches so much. And the amount of fabric that I have here was 2 yards. And I realized that by the time I was done, I noticed that the cowl effect in front of my own dress was not so full because I didn't have enough fabric to go about that cowl effect. So if you want this dress to look really nice, have the same full cowl effect in front, you should have about 2.5 to 3 yards of fabric, okay? So once that is done, once you've gotten your fabric, as you can see, go ahead and fold the fabric into two. Make sure that it's standing in the direction where the lines are going to be standing vertically when you put on this dress. So I have folded my fabric into two. I'm going to fold it again now to make it a fold into 4. Now, when you're making the second fold, you want to make sure that it doesn't get all the way to the end of the first fold that you make. Because we are cutting the front and the back together, we need to have some spaces at this end here to use as the zipper allowance. So this area here is going to be the back. So you must make sure you have this extra 2 inch after your fold here. So now to check if this fabric you have is going to be enough, divide your hip measurement by 4, and when I did that I got 9. So I'll measure from here to here to see where my 9 inches is. After my 9 inches, I still had an extra 1 inch, which means this is going to be just enough for me to cut out this dress. So now after that, I'm going ahead to draw a straight line across the top of this fold that I have here. This is going to be the starting line. You can also call it the shoulder line. So from the shoulder, I measure down to my waist. Shoulder to waist measurement for me is 14. And I'm going to go ahead and draw a line across this point as well. After the shoulder to waist measurement, the next measurement I'm going to take is the shoulder to hip. Before drawing out the shoulder to hip line, I decided to extend this fabric to just shift it so that you guys will see exactly what I'm doing. So now from the shoulder down to my hip was 23 inches. I went ahead to mark it. I realized that the fabric was still pulling down as I was trying to draft out this pattern. So I decided to cut off the areas that I do not need and pin down the fabric so that it doesn't move. It was really stressful, like working with it, because it kept moving from the area that I wanted it to be because the other part of the fabric was pulling it down. So I went ahead to cut off that part and then arrange the fabric well again so that everything looks nice and clean. So now from the shoulder, I am going to measure the last line, which is shoulder to hemline, how long you want this dress to be. So I want mine at 43, but I cut it out as 44 so that the extra 1 inch could serve as stitching allowance for the bottom. So once that is done, go ahead and arrange everything. We have the shoulder line, we have the waistline, the hip line, and then lastly the hemline. So now back to this shoulder line. From the center of the second fold I had here, I went in by 3 inches. And I came down by 3 inches as well. And I'm going to connect the both lines to give me a round neckline. After drawing out the neckline, the next thing I want to do is from this second fold again, I'm going to go in by half of my shoulder measurement, which I marked here as you can see. And now from this point, I'm going to come down by 1 inch for my shoulder slope. And I'm going to try to connect a straight line with it to meet the shoulder line. To meet the top of the neckline. I mean, this fabric is a bit difficult to work with, especially trying to draw on it. But anyways, let's continue. Now from the shoulder slope, I'm going to come down by my armhole depth, and my armhole depth is 7 inches. To get that, divide your bust measurement by 6 and add 1.5 to what you get. For me, it is 7 inches. So at that 7 inches point, I drew a line across. So this new line is now my chest line. Now from the shoulder slope, I'm going to connect a straight line to meet the new line I drew across. And after that, I will get the midpoint of this straight line. So from this point, go in by half of an inch. Okay, mark it here, half of an inch. Now on the chest line, you're going to go ahead and divide your bust measurement by 4. See where I'm placing my tape from. So divide your bust measurement by 4. Which is what I've done here. I marked it here. And now I'm going to connect a curve to give me my armhole. So I'm connecting from the shoulder slope to that midpoint and then down to the bust measurement that I just marked. So once this is done, this is it. I'm making sure that this is my bust measurement divided by 4. So I'm marking it here. So once that is done, I'm going to come down to the waistline. So the waistline, your waist measurement divided by 4, just mark it. You're not going to be adding any stitching allowance, not even for that, because there's not going to be any dart on this dress. Now on the hip line, divide your hip measurement by 4 and mark it as well. So once that is done, go ahead and join all the last lines together. So for this, I had to just use a chalk because this tailor chalk was not working. So I decided to use a blackboard chalk. Hopefully you guys will see it better. So I'm connecting from the armhole down to the waist and then from the waist down to the hip. Now from the hip line, I'm just going to take this down all the way. I'll make it smaller as I go down on the hip line. Okay, so I'm just connecting a straight line down to meet the hemline, just like you see me doing like this. So we are done with the body part of the front and the back. For the neckline for the back, what I'm going to do is to just come down by 1.5 inch from the front here and just connect it into the neckline. So when you are cutting, the back neckline should be the first thing you cut. So you can cut the back neckline and everything together, but the front neckline will be cut separately because the front neckline is deeper. So I'm done cutting out the back neckline. I brought up the front and just went ahead to cut it out separately, as you can see. So once this is done, I'm going to go ahead and cut out the rest of the body, everything together. So the shoulder, the armhole, and the rest of the body together. So guys, this is what I had after I was done cutting it out. So this is the front piece. You can see we have a simple round neckline here. So what I want to do is I'm going to be turning the neckline for this front and back with a bias. So I'm just going to place my bias on here. I'm going to pin it all the way around the neckline and use it to turn it over. So I will do the exact same thing for the back pieces as well. So basically, I'm just going to make the first stitch and then use it to turn over the neckline. And like I said before, I would do the exact same thing for the back pieces. So after I was done, this is what I had, as you can see. So you can see what it looks like on the wrong side. And that is the exact same thing I had on the two back pieces. When you're working with this fabric, make sure that you do not stretch it because it stretches so much so that the neckline will not be looking wider than you actually cut out. So you want to make sure that you're very patient with it because when you're stitching the bias on the neckline, it has a tendency of opening up because the fabric stretches a lot. Anyways, with that being said, now I am arranging the two back pieces together, right sides facing each other. And initially, I went ahead to fix a zipper on this fabric. So I fixed the zipper on the upper part and then pinned down the bottom part that I was not going to fix a zipper on. But after fixing my zipper, because of the nature of the fabric, the zipper was looking so funny. It was curved and looking funny. So I had to remove the zipper and just make a straight stitch, as you can see. So I just stitch it down closely. You can see what is now looking like the area where I fixed my zipper before. So if you're using the type of stretching fabric, it's going to enter your body anyways. All you have to bother yourself about is just the neckline. So what I did is I left about 5 inches at the top of the neckline. I am going to be using a press button there, okay, instead of a zipper, so that it will be able to pass through my neckline. And the area where the zipper was supposed to be, I sealed it up and just had that small opening at the top, okay? So if you're using a normal fabric that doesn't stretch, please make sure to put your zipper. So after doing the back, I went ahead to cut out a basic long sleeve. As you can see, I have a video on the channel already on how to go about that. So after I was done, this was the only fabric I had left, and this is what I wanted to use for the cowl effect in front. Now this fabric is so little, I'm supposed to have a fuller effect, so I just had to manage what I have here. So the length of what I have here, as it's in a fold, is 28. Okay, the fabric is in a fold and the length I have is 28. So the cowl effect has to be able to go from your shoulder to the other shoulder and then fall on top of your breast area or below the breast area. So now for the width, I have about 6.5 inches, and having the width at 8 or 9 inches would have given a fuller look. But anyways, I'm going to make use of what I have here. So I'm going to stitch down this area and this area here and then turn it over through this side. After I was done joining it on both sides and turning it over to the opening I had. This is what it looks like. Okay, so this is how the cowl effect is going to look. It's not full. I wanted it fuller, but this is the only fabric I have left. Okay, so we're going to make use of it. So you're going to bring the shoulder area of the front pattern and you're going to just pleat this from the neckline. So when you're pleating this, you want to make sure that you have about 1/2 inch away from the armhole area so that you'll be able to like fix your sleeve later. So I just pleated it randomly like this, and I'm just going ahead to just like pin it in place just like you see me doing like this. So I have about 1/2 inch away from the armhole area. I will do the exact same thing on this side as well, as you can see, and I'm just going to go ahead and pin it in place. So once you're through with this, you're now going to cover the shoulder area with the back pattern. Okay, so I'm going to bring in the back pattern to use and cover this up. So I'll just align them at the shoulder, as you can see. So you can see the terrible thing that the zebra did to the back that I fixed earlier. So if you're using this type of fabric, I'll just say leave a little space at the top. So now I'm just arranging the shoulder area. I'm going to go ahead and stitch down this area and this area here with about 1/2 inch. And after I was done, this is what I had. You can see what it's looking like. Very nice. Just that it's not as full as the one on the thumbnail that we're trying to recreate. So after this is done, the next thing you want to do is to fix your sleeves. And after fixing the sleeves, you're just basically going to go ahead and join the sides. And that's all for the making of this dress. So I'm going to place the sleeve here like this. Okay, just stitch it down and then do the exact same thing on this other side as well. If you do not know how to cut out your sleeve, please go ahead and see the video on how to cut a long and short sleeve that I already have on the channel. After I was done fixing the sleeve and joining the sides, this is what it looks like. This is a very simple dress to make because the fabric doesn't fray, so I didn't even need to fold this area at all, because if I fold it, it will start looking funny because of the nature of the fabric and the machine I'm using. So at the bottom here as well, I am not going to fold it. It doesn't fray. So I'm going to just leave it like this. This is a simple dress. The cowl effect is easy. I'm just going to place my press button here so that the neckline area looks neat. So I'll fix it here and just press it up. Okay, so I'm just going to pin this down right here. I'll do that later. So yeah, that's all for the making of this very simple dress. So if you find it helpful, please let me know in the comment section. I'll see you guys in the next one.